Well, hello there. It's Reverend Mark here, and it's wonderful to share with you another thought for the day. Now, I know this might seem strange for a vicar to say, but prayer is something I often have a lot of questions about. I mean, I pray, but I'm not sure exactly what's happening when I pray. I mean, I pray, but I'm not always sure if it makes any difference at all. I pray and I wonder, is it changing anything? Does it change me? Does it change anything in the world? Does it change God? I mean, is God, I don't know, wondering whether or not to intervene in a particular situation only for my carefully chosen words of prayer to persuade God to do something decisive that God might otherwise not have chosen to do? Has God answered my prayers, or have things simply turned out the way I wanted them to or hoped that they would? And what about those sincerest and deepest of prayers? Prayers for justice, prayers for healing, prayers for peace that far too often seemingly go unanswered. I've got questions. I've got a limited understanding, but I pray. And I don't think this is controversial to say that prayer is a non-negotiable for followers of Jesus. It's the beating heart of our relationship with the divine. One of our 4 growing aspirations at Portishead Church of England, one of our compass points that's setting our direction of travel, is that we want to grow deeper with God, and a deepening of our prayer lives is a vital part of that. And of course, prayer encompasses a myriad of things. We might think about our corporate intercessions when we're gathered together on a Sunday morning. Maybe we think about prayer as a way we're trying to listen to God and discern our way forward as a church. Maybe we think about our own individual prayer lives. But whether that be listening to God in stillness or prayers spoken out loud, whether that be prayers expressing thanks or sorrow, penitence or joy, prayers of simplicity, prayers of creativity, prayers of playfulness. The very act of praying is part of the fabric of following Jesus. As a church community, we've recently started to have a conversation around why and how we pray. We want to think about how we can explore prayer together and deepen our prayer life, both as a whole community and individually. One of my favourite articulations of prayer comes from this wonderful book. It's called Practices for the Refounding of God's People. It's by Martin Robinson and Alan Roxburgh. It's a book that explores the challenges of being God's people and the kind of practices we need to adopt in a rapidly changing world. It's a great book. I'd very much recommend it. And one of the key practices for them is that God's people must be a community formed around the daily office. Now, the office is where at specific times of the day we turn aside from what we're doing to engage in a period of prayer. The power these guys assert is that it is a reminder that God is the primary agent in our lives and the maker of our world. And there's no metrics by which we can assess if this kind of prayer is successful. Only that by praying rhythmically and consistently, our imaginations are oriented towards God and what God is doing in the world. another of our 4 growing aspirations, is that we aspire to grow missionally. Now, being a missional church is not about doing more activities, doing more stuff, but it's about recognizing that it's God who's got a mission. And it's God's mission that we want to join in with. Rowan Williams expresses that being disciples of Jesus, we should adopt postures of expectation, that God is active in the world, and a posture of attentiveness to where God might be working. And I wonder, as you go wherever it is you may go during the week, are you expectant that God has gone ahead of you? Expectant that God will be at work in the places and among the people you will meet? Are you attentive to where God might be working and who God might be working through? Maybe it's our prayer lives. Maybe it's those times we try and orient ourselves towards God and God's mission in the world that help us live into those postures of expectancy and attentiveness. If you want to be a part of this conversation, if you want to consider more about what prayer means for us as a church and for you individually, we'd love you to get in touch. We'd love you to be a part of that conversation. And that's always something we're trying to develop in the life of the church. We've been thinking more recently about how we help households engage in prayer, because we know it's in the household where the most significant faith growth can happen. I'll put a link in the description below to a new section on our website, just under the children, young people and families section, called Faith at Home. And there's a load of different prayer resources you could download and experiment with if they're helpful. But I want to finish this thought with some words from Frederick Buechner, from this little book called Wishful Thinking. I'm not sure this answers all my questions about prayer. In fact, these are questions I'll probably have for my entire life. I'll be wrestling with this stuff, but I've always found these words helpful. So what about? When listened to or not listened to, prayer goes unanswered. Who knows? Just keep praying, Jesus says. Remember the sleepy friend, the crooked judge. Keep on beating the path to God's door, because the one thing you can be sure of is that down the path you beat with even your most half-cocked and haltering prayer, the God you call upon will finally come. And even if he does not bring you the answer you want, he will bring you himself. And maybe at the secret heart of all our prayers, that is what we are really praying for.